Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to post-episode issues, post-episode recaps. This is for Vikings, Season 3, Episode 7, Paris. And this is an episode that we're going to get into here. We're talking about this morning, right after the episode aired last night. Compared to last week's episode, I'm not going to say I like this episode, but this was kind of a catching our breath episode of Vikings. Vikings tends to do this. We talked a lot about this last week. Vikings tends to reset the deck. It tends to, and this episode seemed to do it again. Fast forward through some time. I kind of dig that Vikings does this because it makes it feel different than any other television program out there, where you don't get immediate reactions for things. You see long-term reactions over a period of time. It makes it pretty interesting. This episode wasn't the most action, most things happening, but it did move our plot along, and it reset, in a sense, gave us our reboot for what we're going to be going on in the last few episodes of the season, the last 3 episodes of the season. But with me today, I'm not alone on my Viking boat riding through the waters towards Paris.
Your long boat.
Your long ship.
My long ship. Oh, thanks, guys. My long ship. I have with me my 2 friends, Joe and Katie, with me as always. How you guys doing today?
Doing very
Good
well.
morning.
Excellent. We got Ren with us as well. Ren says, "Hi guys, you caught me in the Walking Dead binge-watching marathon. Seasons 1, 2, 3 arrived late yesterday. Woohoo!
Excellent.
Excellent. Have fun. My favorite is season 1, but season 2 and 3 have some good stuff too. But
Season 1 is what made most people fall in love with the show, but I don't know. After many rewatches, might not be my favorite season.
Interesting. We'll have to get into
partly because of how short it fucking is.
I tend to agree with you as well. And on rewatches and being able to watch episodes right away, that's one of the biggest changes in television. Depending on how you watch it, you can appreciate something differently. If you have to wait week to week to watch something, I feel like I'm a lot harsher on it. Whereas if you're watching it in succession in marathon style, you don't want as much, so you're not thinking, oh crap, this is just a filler episode, nothing happens here. It just moves along the plot because you can immediately see the next episode. At least that's how I kind of feel about it. Like certain things, like The Walking Dead specifically, I enjoyed more in a rewatch marathon session than waiting week to week in season 2.
Sort of like this episode of Vikings would be.
Sort of like this episode. A perfect transition, Joe. In this, Ren says, "Hi, Katie," and
Hola.
And I would say that absolutely, Joe, this is one of those type of episodes. They restacked the deck. They showed us all the new players for these last 3 episodes. We learned how, as kooky and crazy and wacky as anything going on in England right now, we met the melodrama city of France where the music changed. I love how they set that up. They gave us like a completely different. They give us a completely different vibe and feeling like you're in a different universe, different country, in every place. I love the way the sets change depending on where you're going. I mentioned this on our early reviews because I don't think this is a good movie, but I think they did it well. That John Travolta Battlefield Earth movie, when you're dealing with different alien races and you go from different perspectives. Movie's horrible, but I like how they did the conversations between when you're in the Protoss or the Zerg camp. You're totally engulfed by that style, and I think Vikings does that. Game of Thrones does it excellently too.
Well, I really loved the way they did the language in Paris.
With the Franks,
they came in with the Franks, right? They came in and they walk down this hallway and they start talking to the king, and they're talking obviously in French or Franc or whatever language they're using.
We don't have this language. We just have this stupid accent.
And as they're talking, they talk and everything, and the king's like, okay, well, give me a minute to think, and he leaves the room. When he leaves the room, they change the language to English, and he starts talking to his daughter, and when he comes back into the room, they're all talking in English again. I really like the way they did that. They set the scene, they set the tone, and then they were like, okay, enough of that. We don't need to continue with that.
Yeah, it didn't make a jarring change between languages. Like, oh, suddenly it was very smooth the way they did it. It was nice.
And I like that they did, Katie. I like it that they did it right away too. They made it a smooth transition into it, and they didn't make you wait for a while like they've done sometimes on the show. And
I think they'll do that again once we have Ragnar come in contact with them, or the Vikings come in. There'll be some language issue, but I think they'll get through that quick because they already gave that to us with the English.
I agree. And someone mentioned it in the comment section in one of our videos, and it's a good point, the reason it was when Lagatha learned English really quickly. They said, well, back then the languages weren't as complex; they were more simple terms, so it's easier for someone that's with some intelligence to learn another culture's language. And that's why someone like Ragnar or Lagatha has been seen to be able to pick up the languages rather quickly.
Yeah, it was kind of before the languages really separated into distinct entities themselves.
Right, they were more just like a collection of words that meant certain things, and there were some familiarities with
Germanic,
it. So
Latin, yeah.
Right.
Germanics and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, this was what I liked more about this episode than the story or what actually happened in it was the vibe and again the different style and the different mode depending on the location you were in. I also liked that it seems like with Ragnar this season, we're either Ragnar focused or we have Ragnar in the wings of the episode kind of floating around dealing
shadows.
shadows. And this is another Ragnar shadow episode. I think the big question going into this episode and dealing with Ragnar is he overtly aware that Floki was the one that killed Athelstan? It sure seems like it.
I believe
think
he is.
so, yeah.
I believe he absolutely is. I think he knows. I think part of the reason why they had Ragnar engage his wife about fucking, or who that man was, the traveler was, before Floki came and told him. I think this is part of that reason, because now we know then that Ragnar has eyes everywhere pretty much. We don't know who they are. So I think that was a way to tell us that, you know, Floki may think he had gotten away with something with the murder of Athelstan, but not we know that Ragnar most likely knows that he's not the only one looking.
Well, Ragnar knows Floki. He knows him. Floki is not like discreet, and I mean he's Floki.
Right,
and Ragnar they grew up together.
And he grabs his wife and he starts screaming in the woods, like in the middle of the work camp, not far from everybody. I killed Athelstan. I killed Athelstan. You know?
I'm high because of it.
Yeah.
Gets high off killing Athelstan.
The gods have
Yeah,
rewarded him.
the gods.
He served the gods.
1 second as I swat kitties out of here. Ren says, I did like the French king's crown better than the English ones, though.
Yeah.
Oh, much better. But I'd rather have the English king's mind than the French king's mind. That's for sure. He seemed a little on the slow bend of things.
The French king's mind is his daughter.
Yeah, you know, like
that's his brain.
Yeah, wait, the French king has a mind?
Like the daughter basically telling him what to do and putting it in. I have every confidence my father meant to say these things.
Yeah, they've been doing this for a while.
Yeah. His wife or her mother taught her well on how to deal with this guy.
I'm just as good as my granddad. Of course you are. Of course you.
Yeah, you're Charlemagne. Yes.
I know that actor from somewhere too. I can't place it. Yeah, you're Charlemagne. Sure, you're Charlemagne. I can't place what I know him from, but I've seen him in some stuff.
Yeah, I recognized him immediately, but can't place him at all. That guy in that thing there.
Mika Meyer, welcome. Hey guys, I don't know why, but this show has lost its edge for me. This season is the weakest. Interesting. I did think that this episode was not my favorite of the season, but I'd say in general I do enjoy this season more than last year. I wasn't caught up with, partially because of Lagatha's story at the beginning half of this year, but I feel like she's getting lost a little bit right now.
Yeah, she is.
Hopefully this season will end strong for you. But I dug the previous 2 episodes of this season the most. Born Again, and I believe it was Warrior's Way. I'm not sure, but I see that you're feeling that way, and hopefully it will turn around for you. Hopefully.
Yeah, no, I can see it. This happens to be one of my more favorite seasons. Actually, I like it better than season 2.
Me too. If I was ranking the seasons, it would be right now without this ending. It would be 1, 3, 2.
Right.
But of course, Mika, your opinion's incorrect. No, I'm kidding. Your opinion's fine. Thank you for sharing it. And that's what's the cool thing about a lot of shows. Some people can connect with certain storylines that other people don't connect with. I know Joe and I, on some of the shows that we're both interested in, have had knockdown, drag-on battles about him liking certain seasons and me liking not certain seasons. Sons of Anarchy rings a bell to me. There were certain seasons. And storylines of that one of us liked and the other one didn't. Mika says, that's how I feel. Lagatha's been pushed to the back to just the small side character. And I hear you there. I have not liked her in the last couple of episodes since they sort of closed up her storyline with...
Okay. I'm sorry. I gotta interrupt you. Phil, you're absolutely right. You definitely know this guy. You know him from different things than I do. His name is Lothaire Bluteau.
Jeez. Now I recognize him.
And Lothaire Bluteau...
Was he on Deep Space Nine?
No, he wasn't. But he was... Katie and I know him from The Tudors, a bunch of the Law and Orders, a bunch of crap TV. But you know him from the crappiest of crap TV, and you're going to love that.
90210?
24.
24. Oh. Who's he on 24?
Marcus Alvers.
Oh, okay. I recognize. Oh, dude, I was watching back to our 24 recaps at the end. You're like, oh, if there's more 24, I'll totally watch it. You were so drinking the Kool-Aid at the end there.
I was.
But
all the way back to Miami Vice, dude.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I definitely recognize that guy.
And I remember that show too.
Mika, I feel you, and I hope they come up with something big with Lagatha at the end, like her challenging Kalf to one-on-one combat. We talked about that. I do feel like in the last couple of episodes they're not sure what to do. She's such a great character that it's hard when they don't do awesome things with her. I thought there was one or two moments in this episode where she's like, "No, I don't need you. I'm going to do it myself. Go fuck yourself."
Yes.
I dug that.
Well,
and
that's what she has to do. You know, these aren't just Vikings. These are Ironborn. You take. You don't. We don't. They don't. You know. Well, she sews also. Yeah, but if she wants to be Viking, she wants her earldom back. She needs to take it back. She can't be like Ragnar, give it back to me. She's got to stand up and be the Earl she wants everybody to make her.
Well, it's like Poran keeps saying.
Oh, Poran.
You know, that's Viking. I'm not Viking. But Lagatha is Viking. That whole world is about farming and raiding, and she encompasses all.
Katie, what are we watching? A Raven Simone's show? Is this That's So Viking now? That's so Viking. That's not Viking. That's so Viking.
They've said it a lot over the past couple of
episodes. They keep saying it, that there's a definite difference between whether or not just because you're born in one of these towns doesn't make you Viking. Apparently.
Doesn't make you Viking or not. It just seems like it's weird to me, and I could be wrong, that we haven't heard the word Viking for so long, and then suddenly it's like, okay, we've opened the floodgates. Let's just call these people Vikings.
Like, I know we call them Vikings, but did they call themselves Vikings?
No, I don't know. I don't know if they did.
Like, did they call themselves that, and then we started calling them that, or did we start calling them that, and they were like, oh, you know what? I guess, yeah, we're Vikings.
Yeah, maybe they just got some
history of it.
Maybe people have just been writing cards and letters. How come you don't call them Vikings, and where are the helmets?
Yeah, where the hell's the helmet, man?
We only saw one. I think it was last year or the year before. We saw one guy at one of the funerals wearing the helmet.
It's not a very battle-ready helmet. It's not something you want on your head in battle.
No.
Yeah, definitely not.
Antlers and horns and shit. Fuck that.
And again, it's been 3 weeks. I need another one of these jokes. And where the hell's Johnny Drama yelling victory? Come on.
Viking Quest.
But Mika, I hope the show picks up for you in the last 3 episodes. It seems like we might be getting back. If anyone misses what season 1 was all about, and seeing the it seems like the last 3 episodes of the season is going to get back into raiding and seeing accounts of historical event type things happening. So hopefully,
here's what I'm sick of, and what's dragging the show down, and what maybe I might touch on for them is the stuff with Poran. Yeah, okay, she's a wounded warrior and all that stuff, but come on, I don't want to watch another 3 episodes of her pouting in the fucking corner. Get on.
I hear you. That's
why Viking you want to be. You know, like, and
wear your scars proudly.
Right,
where battle scars,
you think this princess queen that's never been out in war, she's gonna raise your kids Viking more than your scarred, hideous faces at this point? Like, come on.
Yeah, Aslog, who's now being pretty much rejected by Ragnar.
You don't want to give your kids over to this woman. And then so there's that's kind of as fun as it may be, I don't really give a shit about what's going on in Wessex unless the Vikings are there.
Well, they're gonna be. I think that's set up for next season.
Right, but I don't care who the king's fucking. I don't care about that interfamily drama. I just care about the politics about what's going to happen when the Vikings get back, Yeah.
You just feel like we're wasting minutes of hours on characters that you just want it to be focused on the Vikings. To be the Vikings world with touches on it.
And I like those characters, right? But like you said, Phil.
Yeah, give us a little more. Where did Lagatha go when she? when why did she come back?
Yeah, where did she go? Where did she ride off to? How did she decide that fucking I'm gonna join the army? And now, come on.
Seriously.
Why isn't she stabbing Toph in the neck, in the back of the head? Why is she stabbing him? Actually,
I'm with Mike.
Axing him in the back.
I've been missing and very disappointed in what they've done with Lagatha. She's kind of faded into the shadows, and she yelled a bit in this episode to say, "I'm still here," but why?
Mike is on Team Joe. Thank you, Joe. I'm so bored with the Wessex stuff. And I wonder if Bjorn's wife is going to do something drastic in the next 3 episodes. She's so damaged and sad.
Yeah. I hope not, but she's gonna.
And here's the thing: either they got to get this is now we're going into the 3rd or 4th episode. It's been months. She's had her whole pregnancy. It's been a year since she's been fucking hacked in the face almost. Come on. I know it's only been 3 weeks for us, but it's been a year for this woman. Get the fuck over it already. Let's go.
Stop putting the flour on your face and making yourself feel bad and walking through the life like a vampire, and stop trying to give your kid to the woman that gave her kids to the dead woman. And just keep just man up here. Come on, you're a fucking Viking.
And I know PTSD takes a long time to get over, but as far as a TV audience is concerned, I want her to be over it already. I am sick of fucking watching it. I don't give a shit that she's sad.
In fairness of the episode, it was only for a second in this episode. They didn't dwell on it.
It's a second too much. It was 5 minutes. They could have shown Floki fucking tripping out over his tower, or it's 30 seconds. They could have shown Rollo actually going more around the castle and showing us more of that. It's 30 seconds.
Yeah,
I could have had of better stuff than just these 2 tired fucking characters back in Kattegat.
Ren Renwood has a great point. If she wore her hair on the other side of her face, it would help since it bothers her so much. Yeah, and I think she could learn something from a certain princess in England who's conveniently wearing her hair on one side of her head right now. Come on.
She lost an ear right after giving birth. She's coping pretty well.
Right. She's letting she's flirting with the king. She's doing whatever she needs to.
She's not Viking, but she's acting more Viking than Pora.
Yeah. Athelstan passed something over to her. Fangs 1978 says Vikings were never a people. Vikings basically meant adventurer. To go Viking meant to go out in the world and raid and trade. So Viking is something you do, not something you are born as. Thank you so much for that information.
Thank you.
1,000 thank yous. Mika says,
and that's good to say because there's a lot of people who don't know that distinction, and I kind of always thought it, but was nobody's ever told it to me quite like that.
Yeah,
and I always kind of thought it, and that's the way they were kind of making it out to be in the show here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So.
Yes. Do you have that in you? Do you have the warrior instinct to go Klingon here? Do you have the bloodlust inside you? Mika says, I think her problem is she thinks Bjorn won't want her anymore. She feels like less of a woman now. I hear that. I don't know if it's so much that because Bjorn, I think, went out of his way to show her that he loves her for a woman. I think it's more about being a weak warrior, and she feels like she lost her Viking balls, in a sense, is how I take it more than the woman thing. But I guess that's probably part of it too, hence giving him someone else. I think it's more about just general confidence in herself.
What she should have done was she should have been like, yeah, I'm leaving you this baby, but not now that everybody's gone to Paris. She should have said that shit beforehand and went with him.
Yes, I agree.
Got her nut back.
I agree, got her nuts back. Fang says you're welcome, and Mika says, good point, Fangs. Thank you so much for that. That's really cool information. So let's get to the recap. It is going to read a little bit like I'm just going to be telling you the story of the episode. We'll talk and discuss stuff, but this was basically a pretty straightforward episode. We start off as we see the waters from Paris, and we see the men sailing down the river. They're all unshaven like they've been on the road for a while. And then we also see Ragnar right away giving Floki the eye fuck, giving him the I know something's up.
So intense.
So intense. Intense eye fucking. All episode from Ragnar. If you like Ragnar's eye fucking, this is the episode for you. This is the episode.
Floki looks always scared too.
Especially in this episode for a while, Floki looks good until the whole you're in charge of the fleet stuff happened, and Floki was like totally forgot about that, which again I think is the reason why Ragnar did that, to make him feel comfortable.
Yes.
So he could even get a more of an edge on him.
No, because this Floki will come straight out and tell Ragnar he did it, because look at how the gods have rewarded him.
Yep.
Like, it can't be wrong. Look at what you've done for me because I did this. The gods obviously wanted this to happen, Ragnar. He'll come out and tell him himself, I think.
It's one of those things. Floki's almost like a Batman villain, or almost like the Joker in that sense, that he wants Batman to know he did. He wants everybody to know it was him. And the fact his ego is almost as big as, well, anything else Floki has there.
Floki the shipbuilder, Floki the tower maker, Floki the killer of Christianity.
The God pleaser.
The God pleaser, right, exactly. Like,
absolutely, 100%. And then quickly we change perspective from the Vikings sailing towards Paris to the only reason I know his name, the guy that was watching them, the Paris guy or the Franc, is because the king must have said his name 57 times.
Yes.
Count
Odo. Yes, where is he?
I cut that immediately.
And then Katie says to me, he better get back to Deep Space after like the 30th time he said it. And of course, one of the first things I thought was, okay, yeah, Deep Space Nine. That went through my head. But when she said that, for some reason, I thought Babylon 5. Yep. And I'm looking at the screen like, who did I miss? What actor are you talking about? And then I was like, oh yeah, Count Odo. That's what like.
Count Odo. It's the second
characters from Deep
and it makes me wonder if the creator of Vikings is a fan of Star Trek, considering he named another character Borg, and now he's Count Odo. So it's just Jon Borg and Count Odo. Okay, so whatever. Who are we gonna get now? Worf. This is the Viking named Worf.
We almost have him in the Wolf.
The Wolf. We're traveling to a rare land named Shatlands, or something like that. It's just very funny, and I just thought it was interesting that the king said his name seriously like 75 times in this scene. Oh, Count Odo, are you sure, Count Odo? We're at your mercy, Count Odo. I don't know, Count Odo.
Yeah, and what the hell is the king like? You never want to. We're at your mercy, Count Odo.
Count Odo.
Like, that's a pretty neutering sentence to say about yourself. Like, you're the king of this town. We're not at your mercy, Count Odo. You're like.
It's a threat. Get us through this, Count Odo, or you're dead.
Yeah, I understand. He did a lot of threatening there, but still, like, he's announced to everybody that he and everybody is at this count's mercy in making sure that they got the job done right, and not like, I'm the king. You're supposed to take credit for everything until shit goes wrong, not get behind shit before it goes wrong.
Yeah, because he would have left the city also, and it would have been Count Odo's responsibility to keep the city. Count Odo seems to be the military or whatever,
in that case,
master at arms.
They will be at your mercy, Count Odo. I am leaving. They will be at your mercy. But no, we are not at your mercy. Everybody is at my mercy here. I'm the king. I'm in charge. I tell people what to do.
Knife to the back of the
head. Ren's got one thing on her mind. I thought he was saying Hodor at first. Count Hodor. Count Hodor.
Someone needs a shoulder ride.
Hodor. I think this king, to comment on what you guys were saying, I think this king doesn't really give a shit. I think he's so slimy and weak that he couldn't even answer Count Odo without looking to the side into the little fence and looking at his the princess, who he's like, should I say yes, Count Odo, or should I say no, Count Odo? And he looks over here, he's like, And she smiles back, yes, Count Odo, I need a minute, excuse me. And he goes off, I need to ponder this. And everything's set, so we talked about this in the beginning, everything in France, in Paris here, is set in that kind of a weird tone. It's a weird lighting. It's very, without even showing you yet, it's just very crazy without being crazy. You can just see that this is just some really disorganized situation here, or something like that. And the king goes off and he talks to his daughter. The king, he says he comes back and she tells him not to leave. Do you think she tells him not to leave because she's looking into the best interests of the city, or she's hoping he dies and becomes in charge? I don't know.
I think she's telling him to do what she feels is right, what the king should be doing. The king shouldn't be fleeing the city with a barbarian horde at the gate, you know?
Like
Yeah,
Tyrion
she's
telling Joffrey
strong.
he should stay and fight, ultimately,
Yes, absolutely.
without getting
You
too...
know, when the king starts fleeing, the people lose faith in the king, and the last thing you want is when the Vikings to leave, the people to go, you let them do this to us, and have them take your head.
And Ren Renwood says he's just a figurehead. I'll take it a step
Yes.
further and say he's just a figurehead in the same way one could argue between two forces that are pushing him back and forth and trying to influence him in different ways. Count Odo and the princess. Which again, I might be reading into this, but I think Count Odo's whole thing is like, you should stay here, or you should run, because then I'll be responsible and everyone will be like, Count Odo saved the city. The princess is like, no, you need to stay here, because if we save the city, you need to claim responsibility.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
save the
yeah,
king.
yeah.
So the king tells Odo that... Odo. So King Quark tells Odo, listen, you slimy shapeshifter, I'm not leaving the city. If you've watched Deep Space Nine, you'll get that. If
I
not,
loved
ignore it.
Odo. He was my
Ignore it.
favorite.
Oh, if you're wondering what the hell I'm talking about, there was a Star Trek series called Deep Space Nine. It was one of my favorite shows. I'm going to do some videos on it if you're interested in that subject matter. If you're not, you can ignore it. But there was a character who played pretty much the police chief, or the guy who kept the station
The
safe.
head security
See,
officer.
It was when it came out, it was the third best Star Trek. And because that meant it was the worst Star Trek, they made 2 other Star Trek series to elevate Deep Space Nine to the third best.
It's
I
like
disagree
the
with that.
concept
We'll
of
have
the
another
pretty
show
girl
about
with
that.
the ugly girl.
Just because Joe is drank the Babylon 5 Kool-Aid, he can't look at Deep Space Nine with
Oh.
a...
No. It's 2 different shows, completely different shows.
No, but it's way better than Star Trek: The Next Generation. Better than the original
Oh,
series.
wow. How could it be better than Star Trek: The Next Generation when
Star Trek: The Next Generation doesn't. Every episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation ends with everyone happy and dancing. That's not how the world is. It doesn't deal with real life. They weren't even allowed to write
Yeah, but
characters
that was
arguing
Next
on that
Generation.
script. They weren't even allowed to show alien perspectives other than the Federation. That show is a bunch of happy people flying through space. Yes, did it have 2 good actors on it, but the rest of the cast is so pieces of shit. Fuck Geordi. Fuck Deanna. They can't act. Fuck Riker. He's a horrible actor.
Goodness.
Okay, we're moving on. So,
Oh, what? I'm ready to fight. Wow.
They had
Different
to import
It's fighting
the
words.
Next Generation cast to Deep Space Nine, but they were bad.
Damn.
who?
Who? Worf?
Worf was one guy.
Who? The Irish guy? The Irish guy? His wife?
Yeah, because
right?
they didn't use them, and then they
Oh,
broke those
because
people up.
they
Okay.
weren't good enough for the
Can
generation.
we have a different pocket? Can we have a Star Trek pocket?
We definitely need one.
Okay. So the king tells Count Odo that he's not leaving the city, and in the most urgent of times, he announces that the next few weeks will be difficult as he prays for their courage. Odo begs the king to ask his brothers for help, to ask the other people, and the king refuses and says he needs to prove that he's the worthy successor of Charlemagne. And that Odo has to defeat the Northmen, and that it tells him it's Odo's burden is much heavier than he imagined. So then we see Ragnar and his ships hitting the beach. They begin to set up camp. Rollo takes a ship of men up the wall, kind of to check out the defenses, and they get fired on with arrows, and Rollo leads them up and tells them to shield wall. Shield wall works really good. Huh?
Shield Did you see the size of those bolts that was sticking out of those shields?
Yeah.
They were like an inch in diameter. Like the ends of those bolts were just
Nuts.
huge.
Nuts.
They had some girth.
Let's get to the comment section. Oh, XX. I'm not going to try to pronounce the other part of your name because I'll destroy it. You're at school. Awesome. Are you listening to us while you're in class?
That is very irresponsible.
That is very awesome. I love that level of irresponsibility.
Do
We
not
encourage
condone
that.
such
What grade
behavior.
in school?
Encourage, yeah, what class and or grade are you in? I'm
He's in
sure.
college. He's just like on campus watching that.
Yeah, is it college or are you in a different kind of class? Mika says exactly, Joe. He needs to stay and behave like a leader. He looks scared out of his wits. Imagine this king coming face to face with Ragnar. He's no king of Wessex. I think that's why they're showing us how slimy this king is. I think we're absolutely by the end of this season have to see Ragnar facing this guy.
Oh, jeez.
It's going to be a lot like Queen Crazy Pants' brother.
Oh, yeah. That's exactly how I picture it.
Yeah, we're almost worse. Because Crazy Pants' brother, at least, I don't know. He was shitting his pants too. But I think it's gonna be even. I think this guy is more animated physically, so it's gonna be fun to watch him just scurry about like.
I'd like to see the daughter face Ragnar.
I think the
She's
daughter's gonna
pretty stony.
fuck Ragnar.
A princess will marry a bear.
Yes, I think that princess is definitely going to be marrying one of our Vikings. I think that's the princess.
And because we know what
The
Bjorn
bear,
means in a
Bjorn,
different language.
Yeah, Bjorn is looking for a new girl.
Yeah. And
I don't think the Borg girl's gonna work out. I think she's gonna be killed by the Borg.
At this point, can you blame him? It's been over a year. She's been spurning him it's been about a year. She's spurning him left and right. Told him to go fuck other women.
Yeah,
trying to give away the kid. I think you can't blame Bjorn if he decides to move on at this point in affairs of the heart.
Yes. Yes. So the king can say, excuse me. Fortunately, the king has a daughter. We already said that. The daughter's smart and actually more functioning. And then also you get a feeling from the arrows and from another thing that this is also a much richer land than the England we have seen so much so far.
Paris is
we haven't seen
luxury.
the towns or the castle that we've seen in Wessex is nothing compared to Paris.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Paris is it's probably like the first mega city not in like Italy. At this point, it's probably like one of, that's not Constantinople, like that's not Rome. That's like Paris is probably the biggest up and coming city at this point.
Yeah, you know more about the history aspects of it than I do about where this falls in line with that type of information. So I appreciate that balance here. So Rollo takes the ship up the men at the wall, and they do the shield tactic. The French stand at the top of the wall, and they riddle them with shield arrows. And as Joe was saying, these are the highest walls we've seen, and this is also some of the best, the bigger arrows
These are the first stone walls we've seen.
A huge stone wall.
Wessex was wooden fence almost, trees and stuff.
Paris is essentially a fortress in and of itself at this point in history.
Because you gotta remember too, like it's on the main continent. It's right on the river for trade. We haven't seen any city like this. The Vikings probably haven't seen any city. Nobody's seen a city.
No, that's why we got a lot of shots of them looking at it with these wide-eyed perspectives. Like, holy shit, look at this place.
Right, you got to be from a few certain like specific areas or a well-traveled person to not be just in absolute awe of the sight of Paris, like Athelstan was trying to say. Like you've seen Rome, you've seen Constantinople, you've seen some other big cities, but Paris takes the cake for anybody that's around this part of Europe.
Yeah, in converse too, Paris has never seen a fleet of ships come at them.
Nobody's
that's
ever attacked
not
Paris
supposed to be able to happen.
Like right.
There is Paris is supposed to be a fairly impenetrable city because they have the rivers around them, but it's a shallow river that warships should not be able to come up. So this is shocking all around.
And
shock and awe.
Like the king was saying to Count Odo, our cities and towns along the river should have, put up enough of a fight to stop them from getting this far. What the fuck? This has never happened before because all of our little lords spread throughout the, to the coast, pick up arms if something like this is supposed to happen. But, they've never seen anything like this either.
No, this is absolutely
Nobody's ever seen this many boats come up the river. We're gonna what? Shoot arrows at them from the shore, and if they decide to come ashore, they're gonna burn everything down.
We've heard the stories of these Northmen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in Wessex, the king sits down. After this, we cut over to King Egbert sitting down to eat with his son. His son he's asking his son how his marriage with Judith is, and his son's like, blah, 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 blah. I am sorry. I'm missing a date whipping myself later. Excuse me. So Judith stopped whipping me months ago, and I have to whip myself now.
What an asshole king.
And the king's just like, that's nice. Your daughter's starting to recover from the ear. I'm totally gonna have sex with her soon.
Oh, yeah.
I'm totally gonna have sex with your wife soon. Isn't that great?
And raise Athelstan's son as the next heir.
I think we were right about last week when we were speculating. Katie, I think we were right last week when we were all three of us were speculating that this guy just wants his son gone so he can raise Applesauce's son for his own and become the King Applesauce of all England one day.
Well, he sees how small-minded his kid is, I think, and his kid has great insight. The kid's not blind to it all, and we see even at the end of the scene when she comes in with the baby, he interrupts the conversation he's having with his son to to gloat over this baby, and immediately brings up the Athelstan's name.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's hammering it in.
He's playing with his toys.
Right,
This is what this king does. Everyone is a toy to him, and his son is a weak, pathetic, fun little toy to play with.
He's heard the stories of Mount Olympus, and he wants to be the god playing with the toys.
And again, Katie, you are 100% right on him. Anything that Joe and I were saying of hoping that this guy cared about anybody, we were talking about last week, got thrown out when he says that he's going to overthrow the government of Judith's father. And I
have no friends.
Yeah, and his son goes, wait, he's your friend. And he goes, if I'm going to become king of kings, I don't have any friends.
Nope.
Right. And that's when his son knows that he means nothing to him, too.
Well, his son already knows that. He just still carries that futile hope that Daddy will love me someday.
He's got daddy issues.
Yeah, big-ass daddy issues.
So he screams and calls her a whore. He calls his wife a whore. You're a fucking whore! Because his dad basically goaded him into it. And Egbert kicks the son out of the room so he can start macking on his wife. He's like, okay, you're too much. Get the fuck out of here. And then come on, Judith, come over here. Let me touch your face. Well, that happens later, but, you know.
Yeah. Creepy, creepy, creepy.
Yeah, oh, God. He's a selfish man. He's so fucking selfish.
Yes.
So he's not the only one that misses Athelstan. Ragnar is talking. He's talking to Floki, and he's like, Athelstan would have been useful here, don't you agree? And Floki's like, yes! This is where Floki looks really scared, because Ragnar's just giving him the, yeah, I really miss Athelstan, right? Don't you miss Athelstan?
Is this intense double talk you're throwing at me, Ragnar?
No, do your Floki again. That was pretty good.
I liked Floki's reaction to this conversation too.
Joe, do your Floki voice. That was pretty good.
I don't have a Floki voice.
Yeah, there we go.
That's more like the Swedes from Super Troopers.
Yeah. It was worth it. I got asked to do a horrible French accent.
But I love this exchange between the two of them. You know, he says, I miss my friend. He's gone. He says he's not gone. Not as long as you're wearing his cross around your neck. He's with us.
Floki's cringing.
Floki's cringing at it, but it's good insight. It doesn't, you know, he sees it as he's wearing his friend's cross, not he's wearing his new god's cross.
Yeah.
I think that's important. I think that's an important
I don't know if
difference.
he sees. I don't know if he really thinks that.
I tend to think
Athelstan's poison.
I tend to agree with Katie. I think this is more of a scene of both of them thinking their own agenda. Floki thinking, I want to stab you in the fucking head for wearing that cross. Yeah. And Ragnar saying, I want to stab you in the fucking back of the head for killing my friend.
Yeah, they're feeling each other out a little and threatening, and I don't know. It
reminds me of a scene before The Sopranos. Sopranos spoilers if you haven't seen it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It reminds me of a scene in The Sopranos where Tony is talking to Ralphie before he actually kills him, and they're just being so nice to each other about the horse. Like, oh, that was a really nice horse, wasn't it, Ralphie? Yeah, it was a shame what happened to that horse.
Yeah.
And they both know what's going to happen. It's just a matter of when. At least that's how I read the scene a little bit. Vaughn says his good luck charm of sorts. Are you talking about I'm not sure if I understand the context because of the delay, Vaughn. Could you remind us what the fuck we were talking about?
Judith's ear.
Judith's
King Egbert keeps it in his pocket.
And that's how a rabbit's ear was born. Rabbit's foot. I mean, sorry, whoops, my bad.
That's where Daryl got the idea for the necklace.
Yeah, a lady's ear, a rabbit's foot. What else we got? All good luck.
No, he's probably talking.
And welcome,
about,
Vaughn. Welcome.
He's probably talking about the cross.
The cross. Oh yes, the cross. Yeah. Absolutely. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Vaughn. The cross. Thank you, guys.
I gotta say, as much as I agree with you about, I don't think Floki has any ill will towards
Ragnar
specifically. I think he's still hurt that he thought, this is his oldest friend. He even says it. It's my best friend, my oldest friend, and I think he's still jealous of Athelstan, but I don't think he offers any ill will towards Ragnar.
I think he resents Ragnar for what he sees as the rejection of him for Athelstan.
A little bit.
And he has those thoughts. I want to stab you in the head right now, but I love you too much, so I won't.
I agree with both of you, ultimately, when I think it comes down to it. But I think by the end of the episode, he's more on the side of thinking that and I think that's part of Ragnar's plan.
Oh, yeah.
Is making him feel comfortable again, that he feels like Ragnar's his best friend. I think at this point in the episode, he tends to be more what Katie and I were just saying before, but I think obviously by the end of the episode, and deep at his core, he believes more what Joe was saying, that he loves this man, that he thinks he was servicing the gods to help him, and that's all that there is to do about it. And by the point where Ragnar puts him in charge, Ragnar must understand that what happened is good, and he thanks me for what happened.
He loves me.
He goes to what Joe said at the beginning, that eventually I think Floki's just going to come to him and go, look what I did. I helped you conquer Paris, and it was all because I killed fucking Athos. You killed Athos. Thank you for saying it. Smack. Dead.
Yeah.
I think that may end up happening. I think that may end up being the outcome. But from what we know of Ragnar, it may not be as well.
Yeah, good.
He was able to forgive his brother.
Hey, Richie.
And for what it's worth, I feel like he is closer to Floki, and I think that he thinks as much of Floki as he does Rollo as his brother. They've known each other since childhood. He helped him build the first ships that were able to set sail across that sea. I think, and he's building these towers that are going to help.
They couldn't do this without him. They could not do this without him. It's that easy.
I think there'll be forgiveness from Ragnar. I don't necessarily. He might hit him and fuck him off, but I don't necessarily think he's going to kill him when he does find out.
Ren says we'll have to keep an eye on that, and I definitely don't think anything's going to happen to Floki before next season or anything like that. I think Floki makes the end of the season.
Yeah, he'll be around. I think
he'll be around.
He'll be ignored and rejected, maybe.
Ren says he wants Ragnar's love and approval more than anything else in the world. More than the gods, I think Floki wants Ragnar's love and approval.
More than Helga's.
Yeah, more than anybody's.
Helga.
Hell, he doesn't give a shit about Helga. Well, maybe he does. Maybe he trusts her too much. Maybe she's going to be the one that tells everybody what he did, but because she seemed freaked the fuck out by his response.
Oh yeah.
When they get back, she'll tell her girlfriend.
Yeah, and then she'll tell. Then once you tell Aslog, but everybody knows.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It's Aslog.
Aslog's gonna want to get back at Ragnar for being a dick all these times.
Exactly, and she's gonna use even everyone hates you, Ragnar. Even your friends kill your friends. Or something like that. She'll say it to him in anger.
Yeah. Hopefully, Aslog will be gone by next season.
Hopefully.
His third wife.
Richie says, I believe the siege towers are going to fail. I tend to think so too, because we get that big hint that the seer saying the dead will conquer Paris, not the living. Yeah, so it makes me think that Floki's plan won't work, and Ragnar kind of knows that it won't work too. Could be another perspective of this as well, that he seems to be setting up Floki for a fail. I don't know.
I think he's kind of putting it where if Floki succeeds, that's great. If he doesn't, I know what to do with that.
Exactly, and almost more on that, Katie. Like if Floki succeeds in what he's doing, maybe Floki and the gods were right.
Sure.
And his read of the gods are right.
Yeah.
And I think that's also part of why he put him in charge. I mean, Ragnar's a smart guy, and even aside from whatever we think of his reason for putting Floki, the specific person Floki in charge, it was brilliant to make that move at all, to circle the table, to listen to everybody's ideas pitched to someone else, knowing that ultimately you will have the last decision, but it gets them to argue at someone else and not at you, so you can listen to the arguments a little better. I think he was brilliant in that, because if you watch, he's listening to everything. We see his facial expressions change during the conversation, things he likes that he hears, and things that he not so much. But
well, I think he likes to unsettle the other earls and leaders a lot too, and kind of see how they react to it, because it's very telling about a person's character and intentions. I think he just plays psychologically.
Right. One of these other guys stands up and is like, "Why is he in charge and all this bullshit?" Then you know that you're throwing a monkey wrench into someone's plans. If someone has ulterior motives, and someone has, maybe a reach that is over grasping or something. So
And Ren says Floki is also trying to prove his god is stronger than Athelstan's.
Oh yeah,
Excuse me.
absolutely.
Without a doubt.
It's all about competition with
gods.
Athelstan. Yeah,
Gods, yes.
Athelstan and his god.
And Richie says, and somehow Floki is gonna, or Floki, if this all fails, he's gonna blame the Christian gods.
Yeah.
For it. He's gonna blame.
The cross.
Lost. Yeah, it's the cross. It was Ragnar's cross. I did it.
No, but if Ragnar knows about Floki, the argument will be more in Ragnar's favor.
Yeah, and he's setting it up that way. That's what we were just saying a second ago.
Yeah.
So then we see our council, our war council. Rollo's taking a boat to the wall of Paris investigating. He sees this is what Rollo is. We see Rollo really kind of just taking control and being a very strong character throughout this episode. He's training the men. He's acting sort of as a drill sergeant type thing, and he's the one out on the water. I tend to agree with Joe just because I fucking love Rollo. I wouldn't have minded less Wessex and more Rollo and more scouting out Paris stuff.
Give us more of the little piece of shit. What's her name's husband there? The other dead King Hork's kid.
King Hork.
Oh, that Weasley little boy.
Give us more of those two plotting rather than the other.
Or it seems like we spent some time with them and Karl at the beginning half of the season, and they're there on this mission, but we just kind of ignore them, and they're just at the small console having a quick argument with Lagatha. I'd rather even see more of Lagatha and him trying to deal with it. Obviously, they've been trying to work together, and he's like, "I'm coming with you." No, you're not coming with me. I'm coming with you. And they had that little exchange, and then the Borg guy is there, and he yells at his wife at one point in the episode for having sex with Bjorn, or for Bjorn giving her a gift. And so we get to see a little bit more of young Horik. And the prick plays it pretty pricky, so I wouldn't mind seeing more of Prick Face there too, because he's a little smarmy.
Right, but they got to write a little. I think they're trying to write more for a specific gender bracket with that other stuff.
Yeah. So the warrior chiefs have a plan. The Riverborn attacks, simultaneous attack with the gates. Lagatha will lead the attack of the gates. No calf will lead. No Lagatha, no calf, no Lagatha. They're just go back and forth. It's someone wrote this is something from someone else's piece that I read, but I thought it was a good point. They're almost like moonlighting, fighting back and forth at this point. There's but I still
that's such a great.
The person in the article said Sam and Diane, but I think it's more like moonlighting.
Yeah,
and they're just
more like moonlighting.
They're just arguing back and forth because I don't think there's basis of love there. I think he thinks they're all this is just foreplay, baby. I just want to see her kill him.
That's so bad.
By the end of the season, I want to see Lagatha kill that fucker.
Absolutely.
I'm just high on that list. Mika's on board with me too. I'm waiting to see Lagatha cut Calf's head off. It needs to happen.
Axe to the back of the head.
Axe to the back of the
axe
head.
to the back of Calf's head.
Yes, different show. Axe, not knife. Axe to the back of the head. So Ragnar asks Floki that he needs him to build something to scale the walls, something truly astonishing. Ragnar's generally, it seems like this is the question, and we talked about this a lot. Is Ragnar trying to give Floki a chance to shine or fail? I think both.
Both, yeah.
Both.
Absolutely.
So here we go. We go back to Kattegat, yada, yada, yada. Thoron cries for her child, yada, yada, yada. She says, I want it to be Viking. It's not Viking. Will it be Viking? Are you Viking? Are we Vikings? What the fuck's a Viking?
Fucking choose to be a Viking or not, but...
And then she goes, Aslog, take my child because you usually kill children. I mean, sorry, you're not. I mean, you usually give the children.
Them and let them die.
So let's have Fangs write the producers a letter to explain it to this woman with the scarred face there. I don't even remember. I can't even remember her name anymore. Torun. We'll have Fangs explain it to her how to be a Viking.
Yeah. This is the concept, and this is how you live up to it, damn it.
Fangs, get working on that, please.
So yes, that's that scene. We all know what happened. If you're curious what happened, basically Aslog says, I'm not taking your children. We're women. We have heavy burdens. It can't be helped. It's the gods that have our destiny. She
should stop being a little bitch.
Essentially, yeah.
Essentially.
Softer than Lagatha would have said it. See, Lagatha needs to tell Poron what she told her son. Yeah. You're a woman now. Fucking act like it.
Grow the fuck up and be a woman.
And here's part of her problem is that she's a freed slave, so she doesn't know how to express her feelings.
True. I forget about that. She doesn't necessarily know.
If this had happened to her while she was a slave, or when bad things happened, it was too fucking bad shit happened. Make my fucking dinner, change my fucking bed linens, and get on with it.
True.
So she doesn't. Now she has the opportunity to express feelings and emotions and make decisions for herself.
It's confusing and overwhelming.
She's having trouble with it.
Yeah, that's true. She wasn't raised to have a backbone and be Viking, so it's understandable.
So we also we cut back over. Sorry, I'm just thinking about the next scene that I want to talk about. So we go back to Eckbert's son there, who's like whipping himself.
Flagellating.
I thought this started later in history too. 1300s, but
it's an old.
I mean,
self-flagellation is a very.
there was a big
practice.
movement behind it. But yeah. But I just thought it was odd to see for this time period. I don't know. I could be completely wrong, but something about it made me go, huh.
I think he was doing it because he likes it.
Yeah, he was doing it because he likes it.
Yeah.
And someone interrupts him. He goes, "No one interrupts me when I'm in special whipping time."
It's a secret.
But death waits for no whips.
So Eckbert's got another mission for his son. This poor stupid guy. He wants to be a good guy.
So, a lord comes in. He lets a lord in. He falls down on the ground. He says, "Oh, the lords that you sent up to Crazy Pants, she's killed, just like you did to the farmers that Ragnar left with Eckbert." And then he dies.
Yeah.
And then we have a mission. Go to Crazy Pants, son, and tell her we're going to draw and quarter her. He looks at the priest. He's like, "Oh, well," or something like that, because we're good Christians. We don't want to have to do that to her.
Christians love doing that stuff. That was silly.
So go tell her to sign this vassal state shit and set her in line. Set my Crazy Pants vassal
Queen
in line.
Crazy Pants now.
Yes. Go handle Crazy Pants.
Queen Crazy Pants, right.
Queen. Which that's a mess of shit when they go. And then we could just always talk about that. So, but we'll get to that at the end.
That was fun. I have to say, the Queen Crazy Pants.
Oh, she's awesome.
No sooner than he sends her away, than he sends his son away to Queen Crazy Pants. He's knocking on his fucking his daughter-in-law's door with the poetry, the Latin poetry. Hey, baby, let me take a look at that here.
Hey, baby, look what I found. It's Athelstan's poetry. That got you all. It's almost like your voice is coming through him.
Oh, my goodness. Good job. Good job.
Oh, my God. But the next scene was...
Dirty poetry. It's dirty poetry.
Oh, of course.
It's not just like the trees in the hills. It's about, like, you're going to take it. And it kind of excites her a little bit.
A little bit. More than just a little bit.
Well, if nothing else, she is very smart to indulge him.
Correct.
I think she's dubious of it because she's like, last time I felt comfortable, bad shit happened. I don't know.
Last time
you seduced me into being seduced by Priesty guy.
Yeah, weren't you in the hot tub with me? Weren't you in the hot tub as well, Thingy?
Well, that was her problem. She left the hot tub. If she had stayed in that hot tub and it was a four-way, none of that would have happened.
Yeah, you would have made sure Athelstan pulled out. So Bjorn runs into... I'm kidding. Remember these Christians crucified Athelstan. Exactly.
Seriously, the Christians are not soft and innocent people. Come
Athelstan doesn't remember that these Christians fucking crucified him. He forgot that. So Bjorn runs into the girl that he slept with the night of the fire. She reassures him that it's not important and she's not pregnant. They both apologize for taking advantage of each other, but he says that Bjorn is a nice guy in this world, and he gives her a piece of jewelry as a gift, and he leaves as her husband, King Horik's little bitch of a son, comes up. Little child son comes up, the boy king, and the boy prince or whatever it is. And he's like, let me take that. What happened, you whore? You're such a fucking whore, and pushes her off. She's not long for this world. I think this idiot's gonna fucking kill her, and Bjorn's gonna go ape shit on him.
I'm sorry, I want to kill you. I'm a
awesome.
little wretch.
Perfect. It fits him. I wish he would talk like that.
I think he does. You little whore, I'm going to take you. How dare you have sex with a man-looking thing? I am such a little boy.
I mean, like, can you blame her? Look at
Oh,
Bjorn.
seriously, yeah.
Such a hunk of meat.
Mm.
Holy shit. so on the beach outside of Paris, Floki's working feverishly. Like, Floki is full-on season 1 Floki at the end of this episode. Like, he is jumping around, doing his laugh. The Floki laugh is back in fucking, like, full effect in this episode. He's building an invention that's going to help the warriors storm the walls. They're basically ladders that go on tops of the ships that can mount on the walls.
No, I think they look like floating towers.
Yes, the
Floating
floating
towers?
siege towers.
Floating siege towers.
Very cool. Very
Yeah.
cool stuff. So Helga shows up and tries to bring him some food. She's worried about him. Oh, come on, eat. It's just like I could be doing a podcast for 4 hours. I have someone knock. You should drink some water. Yeah, I got to drink some water. Okay, I haven't drinking any water.
Yeah.
There's some good organic lemonade. I mean, so Helga tries to bring him some food. He rambles on that I don't have time to eat. I'm sorry, that was horrible. I don't have time to eat.
My work keeps me fed.
My work keeps me fed.
Mm.
And she's like, sure, whatever, but take the food. But he jumps down anyway. And he's like, hey. And he says that the gods gave him this power, and he's doing it all for the god. Or I'm so awesome. I'm so awesome. Actually, I'm not awesome. I do this all for the gods, and they're working through me. I gave them a sacrifice. I killed Athelstan, so they're giving me this gift and building ladders with my hands. He grabs Helga and like shakes her kind of in excitement, and she begins to cry and she runs off into the woods. Like
She's like a nervous bot. Like, what were you thinking?
Yeah,
Floki.
don't get with him. Yeah, that's not safe.
Vaughn says our little King Horik Jr. is like Viserys in Khal Drogo's camp.
Yes, it's very,
Oh,
very
so much. Yes. Good.
You promised me a crap.
Actually, this is the next episode. I just to carry that over to our next.
A queen for a crown.
Yeah, I'll carry that voiceover for Viserys now. Ren Renwood says Floki's bipolar and it's in the manic stage right now. Yeah, totally. He's going fucking mad. Look, I'm doing great stuff now. So Egbert plays. This is where we get we talked about the scene a bunch already, but Egbert pays his visit to Judith and he shares the writings with her about the Romans that Athelstan was helping him translate. He vows to Judith that at long there is blood in this body. He will protect her and her son Alfred, which just goes to who can believe anything this guy says, and he's dirty.
And he says that as he's brushing her hair off the side of her head, and then leans in right after he says it, leans in and kisses her on the lips, nice and slow, more than like daughter.
He's not
more than
daddy.
friend. More than
He's
friend.
extra creepy daddy.
Yeah, he's Littlefinger daddy right now.
A kiss on the cheek is kind of strange.
He went very
friends.
Danish with her.
Joe, you almost started singing "Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend." You're like a kiss on the cheek.
I love Moulin Rouge.
Yeah, I started to think. Yeah, you were about to do the Moulin Rouge version of "Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend" right there. So here we go to Athel. I'm just jumping around here. Even fucking Floki was just hilarious in that scene with Helga. So then we go over to Judith. In her mind, she's thinking about Athelstan. So Athelstan then, excuse me, not Athelwulf or whatever her son's name, visits Princess Crazy Pants' kingdom of Mercia.
Queen Crazy Pants.
Queen, I'm sorry, thank you.
Her pants are queenie.
She's been. I should properly address her.
Trouble happens if you.
It is,
if you
especially with a
disrespect
woman
her.
like this.
Oh my
I love that
goodness.
she makes him wait with all the animals, the birds and the monkeys and shit, while she's fucking someone in the tub.
Oh yeah.
I'm
All
sorry, I was
chaotic
taking
noise.
a bath. And
Was she?
She
Are
was
you sure?
masturbating or
She-
fucking
like,
someone in
that's
the
what
tub.
yeah, I don't know if anyone was in there with her.
She seems like the type that would just be masturbating and being very loud about it.
Yes. Oh,
Trying to entice
yeah.
him into the room.
Right.
just-
And it goes to
with
what
them.
she was saying about what she was doing the whole scene with trying to manipulate.
Seduce him.
Mhm.
So Ren also says the side. Yeah, exactly. Egbert was like massaging and molesting the side of the head that
was cut off.
That was cut off.
Yep.
To partly remind her of what happened to her because of this, and partially remind her that I'm the one that saved you from worse happening. I think as well. Be
Yeah.
like, look,
I am both your doom and your savior.
Yeah.
So next time I come and my penis is out of my robe, sweetheart.
Yeah, you know what to do.
Right.
You know what to do. Don't worry, I've had a kingly vasectomy at this point. It's amazing. It's amazing. He smoked Marlboro Lights his whole life. So the king visits Crazy Pants and shouts to her that the king is not happy that she murdered the nobles, and that he has to affirm their alliance. She pours him a drink, and at first I thought the same thing. The way she was pouring it, it was like, this is poison, or it was like tripping drug or something. Like she gave him some like liquid mushrooms that the Vikings gave her or something like that.
There you go. Like she pours the liquid in both cups and she hands him one, and he looks down like it's poison, and she's like, and drinks hers, and then he drinks his. And I immediately said to Katie, the poison wasn't in the vase, it was in the cup.
Don't drink or eat anything she gives you.
Yeah, come on.
Oh my god.
I was expecting her when by the time she sat down and like hiked her skirt up so he could see all the way up her thighs, and she was having her little speech there. I was like, oh, here it is. His head's gonna start spinning. Here it comes.
I'm feeling a little dizzy.
It turned purple. So, Athelwulf and Quenthirth.
Quenthith.
I like Crazy Pants and Dumbass.
Yeah.
But thank you so much, Red. So he shuts that. She pours him a drink and he drinks it, and she talks to her with about being civil with their alliance, and they need to handle stuff. She rants that he's always doing what his father says. What your father says. My father's the fucking king. Shut up.
You've met my dad, right? Like,
if I was him, I would have said, not my dad, the king. Sorry. Exactly. I would have said, I'm sorry, not my father, my king.
That's exactly what he should have said. And he should have said, it's not only me who does what he says, you do as well.
Yeah. If you don't forget, you wouldn't have this. You wouldn't be queen of Candyland here if it wasn't us and the Vikings helping us. But she's just sitting there like she has the that she has a killer instance that she's gonna play once you play that creature card right now. That she just knows she has. She thinks she has the ace in her hole. I couldn't just think of an expression, so I went geeky.
The ace in her hole.
In her hole. The ace in her hole.
In the form of a child.
Yes, she has the ace in her hole in the form of her child here.
No. It came out of her hole already.
Yes, I'm sorry. The ace out of her hole. It's in her pocket.
She birthed the ace from her hole.
Yes, said ace has been birthed out of her hole.
Oh, God, that hole. This whole topic is becoming ridiculous.
Yes, we need to change this here. Sorry, I was about to do another one, Joe.
I think we've reached the depth of this whole conversation here.
No more holes.
Yeah, no hole.
No more crazy.
No holes barred, all right.
No holes barred. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. I'm just gonna swing away here and get a hole in one. So. Oh shit. So she teases him, pretends to seduce him, and gets all like whatever, and then disappears on him, leaves him with blue balls.
He starts praying.
Oh God, he does.
He starts praying.
Brett starts praying. Oh my Jesus, my Jesus. Mika says or asks, that child is not Ragnar's. When did they have sex? The princess is off her head. I think
right after she pissed on him.
Right. I think it's to be assumed that they did it right after she peed on him.
No. She mounted up again. She pissed on him and then mounted up again, and fucked him.
Oh yeah.
But that child, that was a big fucking baby. That was a huge kid.
Jeffrey says he should have said, "Listen, girl, my father's crazier than you are."
Yeah. Right. Like it's a close competition, but I think Daddy's got you.
Yeah, I think Daddy's got you, buddy. Yeah. Awesome one, Jeff. Thanks.
No, but as soon as she kind of tries to play it hard, and at one point she's like,
"Oh yeah," she does.
And they all pull their swords, and
very loyal guards.
And right, and Dumbass is like, oh, you could kill me, but that's not going to do anything. My dad sent me here most likely because he wanted me to die. He wants to push your hand. He wants to invade you. Give him a reason. This will be the reason he needs.
Mhm.
And as far as I'm concerned, she should have just killed him then.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't need a reason. Ultimately, he doesn't.
He doesn't, and I agree with what
He killed seven
as big of a
Some
dumbass as dumbass is at least self-aware, and he knows that he's not important to his father. He knows his father has a much higher agenda, and I kind of like when he puts his foot down here and he's just like, kill me, I don't give a shit. At this point, I'm at home whipping myself. You're leaving me with blue balls, and I'm praying. You know,
my wife is missing an ear and has some priest's kid. Like,
my father sends me. My father uses
what do I
me as
have
a
to
tool.
live for?
But for his last three things, okay, my dad sent me to go save this village, and when I slaughtered it instead, he punished everybody else and praised me. It was obviously part of his plan, cunning and wise, right? Then my wife gives birth, and he's like, okay, we're going to kill her for you, son. And right in the middle of it, he stops it. Fucking awesome. Thanks, Dad. Then when we're having a nice moment, and this woman walks in. It's like, I'm gonna kill your wife's father. You don't mind, do you?
Yeah.
And oh, look, here's your awesome bastard child who'll one day rule the kingdom.
Mhm.
Don't talk to your wife that way. And then slaps him across the face, sends him to Queen Crazy Pants. He is so self-aware that his dad fucking hates him.
Yeah.
That his dad wants him dead. That this was probably a way to get rid of him.
Mika says it seemed like she was peeing on him twice, not having sex. Well, we'll have to see. And Richie has a good point. Queen Crazy Pants, bearer of random children. So I think it's Ragnar's kid, but we'll have to keep an eye on that because it doesn't seem like she's not.
I think it could be.
I think he and Lagatha have an exchange about fucking Queen Crazy Pants. At the time, Princess Crazy Pants and King Egbert.
King Egbert, you gave me a gift. Oh, it seems like you got very involved with the people. It seemed like you got very involved with Egbert. It seems like you got very involved with
he kind of like brushes it off, but doesn't say no. I didn't fuck her.
But that being said, I will mention, and I want to make it clear that what Mika and Richie are implying could also be true. This doesn't seem like the type of woman that has only had sex with Ragnar.
She's fucking everybody.
She's
like the Tsarina there in Russia that fucks horses and.
Oh my gosh, we don't know what Quenforth's getting into, but I wouldn't doubt it. And let's not say we don't have Maury Povich in this world.
Wait
so we don't
for
know
the
for
testing.
So, Ragnar, you are not the child.
Figure it out, Ragnar. We have the statistics here, and Ragnar, you are the father.
Now, you've been here before, Queen Crazy Pants.
Yes.
Check out the last 4 appearances for Queen Crazy Pants. Today, we have the true father.
Today we have the Red Viper of Dorne. You're not the father. Yes.
Tyrion Lannister.
You are not the father. Yes. You guys are all off the hook. Go back to your show. Premieres next week.
Oh, so excited for my birthday.
Oh, God. Did we just
2
write
days
an
before
awesome...
my
That's like
birthday.
a great Saturday Night Live skit today.
So,
Maury Povich.
The paternity testing.
And you have all different characters from different sluts from different worlds.
Oh, that'd be great. That'd be great.
Okay, so anyways, back on the beach,
Ultimate
Loki tells Ragnar and the other leaders that his contraption is complete, and tomorrow they can attack Paris. I also mentioned I didn't want to mention a scene I kind of forgot to write about, but that was in there where we see Ragnar walking towards the city of Paris and looking at it from a distance alone, holding his cross.
Looking like a monk.
That was the moment where I thought last week's perspective that we had about Ragnar, faking being a monk and sneaking into the city that was come true. I thought he was going to do it, right there.
Yeah,
and
he was as good as any
He looked like a monk again later when he was walking through the town, through the camp, and everybody started following after him like Forrest Gump.
Yep.
And he looked very monkish there too. So.
Vaughn says could have been.
You are the father.
Sorry, I'm gonna get to that. Robert Baratheon, you are the father.
Vaughn,
Everybody
nice.
Comes through in the end.
Congratulations, Robert Baratheon. You're the father of everybody. I think we've got down to the bottom of this. Robert Baratheon is the father. He made the 8.
That was awesome.
So
Great
Vaughn
one,
also says
Vaughn.
could have been one of the knights for all we know. Mika
Oh,
says
yeah.
you guys are crazy. Oh yeah, you have no idea. Fred says, "For your information, I had to look this up. Wessex is in the south with Egbert. Mercia, Crazy Pants is in the middle,
Yeah.
and Northumbria is
Northumberland.
in the north, and that's Judith's father.
Right, the fat king. We've seen him, the fat black-haired king.
Horse Nation, welcome Horse Nation. I thought Crazy Pants had sex with Rollo. I bet she did too.
Oh,
I wouldn't doubt
she's getting round.
She's
Her,
getting
her
around.
crazy pants are very loose,
Her
easily
crazy-
on and off.
Katie, good point. Her Crazy Pants. She has the stretchy. She invented.
The
She has
breakaway.
crotchless crazy
She has the
pants.
breakaway.
So let's just quickly end the episode on the beach.
Breakaway
Floki,
pants.
to quickly end the episode on the beach. Floki tells Ragnar and the other leaders that his contraption's ready and complete, and they're ready for tomorrow to go as they set their sights on Paris, and they all look at it, and he starts axes. We have axes. We have things. It reminded me again of the Jamaican bobsled. We are strong. We are go. We are Jamaican bobsled team.
Just saw that for the first time
She
ever.
told me she hadn't seen it, so I made her watch it last week. I'm gonna have to go.
Great John Candy movie. So the Vikings stare at the city in the light and the darkness. The royals of Paris are being masked, prepared, looking like the Knights of the Harpy from our previews of Game of Thrones. And the Viking men stand outside and they yell, they yell, axe time, sword time, shields are splintered.
Men and women.
Men and women, they cry, and the armies join him, and it's time to kick some ass. And it seems like next week we're heading into Paris for some action here, folks. Fucking action the next couple of weeks leading up into our final 3 episodes. And ultimately, that's what this episode was. We talked a lot about this at the beginning. This was just setting the scene for the final 3 episodes.
Yeah, transitional and setup.
Ultimately,
I loved that early morning rant. Like he says after Ragnar and all Forrest Gump's through the town, and
did you see what Ren just wrote? Sorry. You guys cracked me up in the chat room big time. Crazy Pants is doing she isn't just doing.
Oh my goodness.
She's doing the 99.
Woo!
And Richie says Queen Crazy Pants is like a gate in the wind, swinging and banging for anyone who comes through. Vaughn says no, she rejected Rollo. Yeah, she did.
Yeah.
Rollo tried to hit it when she was all like drunk and stuff, and she slapped him across the face and said, "Not without my permission."
Yep.
Yeah, I gotta go pee on your brother.
Yeah, I'm gonna go pee on your brother. I want to be your brother this whole time. I'm not touching you. So she's a selective slut.
Right.
Seems like.
A princess / queen can be discriminating.
Yeah, absolutely. She's Cleopatra-ish.
Yeah.
From what we've seen from History of the World Part 2.
Catherine the Great.
Yes.
Catherine the Great was known to be so insatiable she would have with 10 guards at a time.
Oh, she's
horses.
The one alleged with horses.
Yeah, there was no satiating her appetite for sexual
She was great.
activities. She was great.
Take a couple.
When Ragnar walks through the town and we get our first view of the actual towers that Floki's building, and he's standing on top of his own little tower doing this little
balloon man dance.
Balloon man dance. The wacky inflatable balloon man. It was great to see that, and Ragnar's like, "Oh, will you be ready?" And he's like, "Absolutely, we can attack in the morning." And that's beautiful. And then when we get that scene, I think it comes like almost next.
Yeah, it's right after.
The sun is just coming over the water. We see Paris from a distance from almost that same hilltop or beachhead that Ragnar was on earlier. And when the camera rises up as Floki's doing that chant of the axes and the shield splintering and all that shit in whatever tongue he was actually saying, it was pretty cool. We see all the Viking army, the horde behind them on the hill with all the torches lit. Just really great scene. Really
beautiful.
I didn't want it to end. I was like, don't make me wait. And then what? We're gonna come in next week, and it's gonna be like we're gonna see Paris smoldering, and the fight's gonna be done. I hope not. They haven't spared us a fight yet. I hope they'll spare us.
Historically, they don't actually get into Paris.
I know, but if they give it to us, I'm not gonna complain.
I think the final episode of the season is called The Dead. So I think they make it into Paris in the final episode, whatever this dead is.
Or they make that deal with Paris.
Well, here's
to
the thing.
Get paid off.
It's not the living that conquer Paris, so they don't invade. It's the dead. They see Jesus cross on Ragnar's neck, and they're like, "Oh, here, have more."
Well, it might just be that Paris decides we're dying. So many people are dying. Let's just pay them off and let them leave.
It's good. Whatever it
Come
is,
back.
whatever it is, it's going to be really, really fun to see where the rest of the season and the final 3 episodes
so
go. Because
exciting.
this might not have been my favorite episode from beginning to end of Vikings, as I feel like it was setting up a lot of stuff, but I feel like it set up a lot of really awesome stuff for the final 3 episodes.
Yes. Yeah.
I think it was just coming off what I considered my favorite episode of Vikings yet. So it's in the episode before that I said was one of my favorites too. So it's kind of hard to follow that up, and you needed to move the plot along. And I like that Vikings does this. Again, it sets it apart and makes it feel at times documentary, miniseries-ish, and not so much like a television series.
Yeah. There's a lot of anticipation.
I'll say this too,
me.
for it not being my favorite episode this season, this episode did great with building the anticipation for next week. And also, it's one of my favorite Ragnar face episodes.
Oh,
with his
intense,
bald head,
yeah.
and he was very minimalist with the words with his dialogue this week. He was in the background. There was a lot of looks, a lot of glances, and I love his job, the acting he's doing.
We've talked about the Mel Ball. Mel
the rag
Gibson's
ball.
intense eyeball flare.
Fimmel's getting involved.
Yeah, I'm saying Fimmel has surpassed the Mel Ball.
Yeah, we used to call him the Mel Ball.
Yeah, that flare and like.
And he always sniffed too when he did. So we'll take a couple more comments here. Horse Nation says, "Crazy Pants is the best part of the episode. I love how Eckbert's son started to pray when she asked him to spank her."
The Lord's Prayer.
I'll do it.
Save me, God, save me.
I know. What are you waiting for, dude?
In Horse Nation also says, "I wonder if
that's
Ragnar gave the
dangerous.
command to Floki because Ragnar knows the initial attack will fail and that they can only blame Floki and themselves." We talked about that a little bit before.
Yeah.
I think it's a combination of both. If it succeeds, then he'll know he was wrong and Floki was right about what he said about the gods. And if he fails, then it just sets Floki up for failure, and he can get his comeuppance for what he's done.
Yeah.
And last comment, yes, Horse Nation. That's why I hope the writers are not going to make Ragnar kill his friend if it fails. I tend to agree with Joe. I don't think Floki's going anywhere anytime soon. I think if he forgave Rollo for what Rollo did, he'll ultimately forgive Floki because he is a brother.
And Floki's far more useful than Rollo
Exactly.
in a sense
He
too.
needs him. He needs him.
Just
So,
practically.
And one thing I want to touch on that we talked about earlier real quick. For those of you that don't know, or we had a little conversation earlier, and I basically said what I said about Star Trek just to get Phil flared up a little bit. I actually do think Deep Space Nine is at least on par with Next Generation. I don't necessarily think either one is better, but I don't think either one is worse.
If that's what you're into.
Right, and I really am a fan of all of them except Enterprise, but I just did that to get Phil's goat.
Voyager.
Worked. Different episode, different time. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning into this Vikings recap.
Thank you.
We will be back. People have been asking. We will be back on Sunday evening, the time that we usually do the time that we usually do Walking Dead podcasts, or that we have been, and we're going to be doing our next Game of Thrones Season 1 recap, and we'll also talk about the future of those with going into Season 5 and what we're going to do with that, but we will be doing the next episode
Betty!
On Sunday night.
Betty.
Yes, Betty the cat. Betty the cat's right here. So keep an eye out for that if anyone's interested in that. Get off the keyboard, Betty.
Betty's
there goes Betty.
To say.
Betty wants the show to be over. If you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button and join us for the last 3 episodes of Vikings. We're also curious what you thought of this episode. Share it in the comment section below. You can also email me at igotissuesman@gmail.com. Tweet me at igotissuesman. Tweet Joe at DirtyLocks. And like I said, check out all of our stuff at issuesprogram.com. We will be back next week to talk more Vikings. In the final 3 episodes, we'll be back, as I said, Sunday to talk Game of Thrones, and then Monday to do the season finale of Better Call Motherfucking Saul.
Yay!
Also like to thank everyone that's checked out the preview video of the Game of Thrones video that I did. I'll talk more about that.
Oh, that
on
was
Sunday
awesome,
night.
Phil. I
Thank you,
forgot
guys.
to
That
tell
really
you.
was
That
good.
was hilarious.
I want to do a rebuttal.
Dragons! You
Unnecessary
missed the
rebuttal.
dragons!
I missed dragons.
Oh my
Fuck dragons. I know I missed a whole bunch of shit.
Dragon, Arya, Bravo,